Hello cadets, good evening. Welcome for today's session. You all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to wish all of you a happy Independence Day. And seniors, give me the report. Light A senior. (73 of 46). On behalf of the strength is present. Flight B. Flight B, who is a senior? Flight B. Flight C. What is the strength? Who is the flight C senior? No one is there? Okay. Flight B. Who is the senior? Flight B senior. Okay, fine. So we'll start our class. So today we'll talk about the control surfaces of the aircraft and we talk about the construction or the structure of the aircraft. So I'll present my screen. The screen is visible to you all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll talk about the airframes. So airframe is nothing about the structure of the aircraft which it forms. So this is the internal structure, all the connections that are there that are connected internally through with the help of physical cable, or it might be electrical wires, or it might be an optical fiber. So all these connections are shown here in this diagram. So this is the control stick. So where the control stick for with that, so there are the cables are connected to elevators, ailerons, rudder, and other things. And these are the pedals. These are the rudder pedals which are connected to the rudder. Okay. This is a basic construction diagram. So there are two types of controls. One is the primary controls and auxiliary control surfaces. So that we have to understand. So these control surfaces are hinged or movable surfaces to which the attitude of the aircraft is controlled during takeoff, landing, or flight. Because when you are flying an aircraft, there should be some controlling required. There should be, for example, if we talk about the glider, so glider can move only up and down, where it cannot provide thrust. For an aircraft, there are four forces acting, that is lift, weight, thrust, and drag. to compensate this, the controls has to be worked accordingly. Okay. So basically the controls are the hinged surfaces. Hinged means they are connected to the main structure. Okay. And the aircraft can be controlled in three directions. So that is lateral, longitudinal and vertical axis. These are the three control directions that the aircraft can be controlled. The directional control of fixed wing aircraft takes place around lateral, longitudinal and vertical axis by means of flight control surface. Longitudinal, lateral, these are all we will see in the next slide. And these control surfaces are hinged surfaces. Hinged means they are connected to the main structure and they are movable. They are not fixed structures. They are movable structures so that they can control the aircraft. So we categorize that into two sections, that is the primary and auxiliary control surfaces. Now you can see which are the three axes. If we look into this big aircraft, this yellow dot represents the center of gravity. Means this is the point where CG exists. In short, we call this as CG, center of gravity. And this we call it as the fuselage. This main body we call it as the fuselage. And for this fuselage, all other parts are connected. So here the wing is connected, and the tail section is connected, and the tail fin is connected. If you draw a line, a straight line to this, so this we call it as the longitudinal axis. And aircraft can roll over longitudinal axis. And this from wingtip to wingtip, we call it as the lateral axis. So the aircraft, if you put a straight line here, then the aircraft can move up and down. It means its nose can pointing be down or its nose can be pointing up. And yawing is nothing but a vertical line. If you draw from bottom to top, then an aircraft can yaw, means it points in the direction in terms of true magnetic north. We can also call it as the heading. So it can point at any heading point. So that action we call it as yawing point. Some cadets are joining. This is very bad. Okay. So let's write this diagram and understand. So if this is your aircraft and this is the wings. Okay. So now, if you draw a line like this from nose to tail section, this we call it as a longitudinal axis. That is represented as yellow. And if you draw a horizontal line like this from wingtip to wingtip, this we call it as the lateral axis. Let us call this as LA. Now what happens, if you hold these two ends of this longitudinal axis and you roll it, then what happens, the aircraft will roll either to the right side or to the left side. And if you fix the two ends of this lateral axis and if you roll it, then what happens, the nose will pitch up or down. It means the aircraft will move like this up or down, or longitudinal axis will go like this. Yawing is on the other side. If you draw a vertical line like this and if you rotate, then what happens, the aircraft will move in a like this direction, which we call it as yawing action. Okay. So that is what it is shown here. So which are the surfaces that controls these actions? Now primarily the longitudinal axis is controlled by ailerons. So if you see this section, this is nothing but the aileron section, which we call it as the ailerons. So the deflection of ailerons will make the aircraft to roll like this. Okay. So this is called as the rolling . So basically, this is an aircraft, and if you roll the aircraft, then basically it looks like this. It will roll, and this happens due to the control surfaces, that is ailerons. Okay. And lateral axis is nothing but it will make the aircraft to go up and down like this. We call it as pitching, and this happens with the help of elevators. And yawing, basically it is the heading point, so it will happen because of the rudder. Okay, we will see each of this. So aileron controls the longitudinal axis, and elevators controls the lateral axis, and rudder controls the vertical axis. Okay. So these are the primary controls, and throttle also has been considered as a primary control because ultimately to move it forward you need to give throttle to the aircraft. So even throttle is considered to be throttle, the control for the engine or accelerator in the general terms which we call. So that is called as the primary controls. So the control surfaces previously described are considered to be conventional, but on some aircraft the control surfaces serve a dual purpose. So the dual purpose is elevons. So it is a combines the function of both ailerons and elevators. Okay. So ailerons and elevators together they are combined and they call it as elevons. And in some aircraft the ailerons and flaps are connected and they call it as the flaperons. Now, for example, in your virus aircraft, if you look into the previous aircraft in this, in the virus aircraft, there is no separate ailerons and ailerons and flaps. So it's a complete single structure. So during landing, we will use this as the flaps, and when we are flying, we will use this as the ailerons. Okay. So likewise, in some advanced aircraft, in a delta-shaped aircraft wings, there are no tail section. There is no elevators at the tail section. So what happens is that the elevators and ailerons are connected together. So that, that acts as elevons, and that we call it as the elevons. Clear? A movable horizontal tail section is a control surface which supplies the action to both horizontal stabilizer and the elevators. So now here you can see the movement of the aircraft. So basically here the aileron function is depicted. So now a blue line which you see here over this center point, this is, we call it as a CG, center of gravity of this aircraft. Now the very important point is the CG, normally it will be here, but it will tend to move based on whether you're moving upward, downward, or the aircraft is loaded. For example, if the back section, if this fuselage is heavily loaded, then what happens? Your aircraft will be flying like this, which is not right. That has to be corrected. So what happens? The pilot will correct certain changes or do certain changes and make it to level flight. That is why whenever the pilot, before takeoff, he will calculate the load of the aircraft. What is the load that it has, that it is carrying, and it should be equally distributed. The load should not be, with the one end or something like that. So load should be equally distributed so that the CG is maintained at the center and the aircraft can fly stable. Okay. Now, a blue line which is shown here. So now if you twist this blue line, then what happens? The aircraft will go up or down like this. It will go pitch up or pitch down. And that will happen with the help of these ailerons. Now if you see, the ailerons work in opposite to each other, sorry, not anti-clockwise. The ailerons works opposite to each other. If one aileron goes up, then another aileron will come down. How does it work? It works on the same principle of aerofoil shape. What happens? The camber is increased when an aerofoil comes down. Now if you see on the port side, I have told you which is the port side and which is the starboard side. Now can you tell me which is the port side of this and which is the starboard? Anyone? Now what is this section we call? That
That is starboard side, sir.
this is starboard side, and this one.
Left side is port side.
Okay, identify yourself.
Cadet Manish, sir.
Okay, Manish, that's correct. So, what happens on the port side when the aileron goes down? The camber is increased. When the camber is increased, the lift is increased. When the lift is increased, what happens? This wing, the port side wing, experiences the additional lift. When it faces the additional lift, on the other hand side, on the starboard side, the aileron is up. Then what happens? The camber line, the camber is decreased. When the camber is decreased, what happens? The the lift is reduced. So what happens? The starboard side wing goes down and the port side wing goes up, and it will roll to the right side. Okay. So here we call it as the left aileron and right aileron, or we can also call it as the starboard and port side as well. So likewise, the rolling takes place. So when you move the stick, when the control stick is moved to the left, what happens? The aileron of the port side will go down and aileron on the starboard side will come up. Then the aircraft will roll to the right, and vice versa. If the stick is moved to the right side, the vice versa action takes place. Okay. So hope you understood this, the functioning of ailerons. Same thing is explained here. So for both the wings, the lift, so as I told you, the lift factor that will affect here. So the lift force of the wing section of the ailerons is applied in the aerodynamic center, and for which some distance L from the aircraft, that is center of gravity, and this creates the torque, that is C is equal to F into L. So F is nothing but we can call it as the lift factor, and the L is the distance. So that's about the gravity. So that is how it will work. So let us talk about the elevators. Okay. So this is the, okay. I think there is a mistake. Sorry. There's supposed to be a longitudinal axis here. Okay. We have to talk about, when we talk about the ailerons, we are supposed to talk with the longitudinal axis, not the lateral axis. So anyway, the distance really is taken here. And when we talk about the, the pitch up or pitch down, then we have to talk with respect to lateral axis. So lateral axis means from this point. Okay. So what happens with respect to this? The same principle is applicable to the elevators as well. So this is a horizontal stabilizer. So for a horizontal stabilizer is a fixed structure that it will not move, and for this there is a hinged movable structure is connected. So this we call it as the elevators. Now when a pilot moves the stick forward or backward, these elevators will move up or down simultaneously. Now both the elevators work simultaneously, either to the up or to the down. So what happens when the stick is pulled back? Then the elevators will go up. When the elevator goes up, it, at the horizontal stabilizer, the lift is decreased. When the lift is decreased, then lift at the main wing is increased. When the lift at the main wing increases, then what happens? The aircraft will move in the upward direction or the uphill direction. If the pilot moves the stick forward, then what happens? These elevators will move down. When it moves down, the camber is increased. When the camber is increased, what happens? The lift increases at the tail section. When the lift is increased in the tail section, what happens? The tail section will come up and the nose section will go down. So it means what happens? You are pitching down. So that is what happens, and that is how the pitching up or pitch down is controlled in the aircraft. Hope it is clear to you all. The same thing is explained here at the rear of the fuselage of the most aircraft. one finding a horizontal stabilizer and a elevator. So it's a fixed structure, so it's pitched up or pitched down. Changing the angle of deflection at the rear of the aerofoil will change the amount of lift generated by foil. With greater downward deflection, the lift will increase the upward direction. The elevator is used to control the position of the nose of the aircraft and the angle of attack of the wing. Can anybody tell me what is the angle of attack? Yes. That's
So the angle of attack is the angle at which the airplane is approaching a position or the path.
sorry. Come again.
The angle of attack is the angle at which the airplane is flying, sir.
Angle at which the aeroplane is flying. No, not right. Anyone else? Any other answers? Any answers?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Partially audible. Tell me.
Sir, the angle of attack is the angle at which the airflow makes with the wing of the aircraft, sir.
Like your voice, your answer is also partially correct. Any other answer?
The minimum angle required for the for elevators for while taking off.
No, there is no elevator that come into picture. Anyway, thanks for attempts. Where is my mouse? I lost my mouse. Okay. So what you are seeing right now is the cross section of the wing. So wing, basically it will be in this structure. So it will be this structure, we call it as aerofoil shape. Okay. And the aerofoil shape, it comes like this. So there is a maximum camber. If you divide this, so there is a maximum camber from the leading edge. So this we call it as the leading edge, where we are written as point A, and the point B I call it as the trailing edge. Trailing edge is the back side of the wing. Leading edge is the front side of the wing. And the front side of the wing is little bulge, whereas the tail or the trailing edge is sharp. Okay. And the wing looks like this when you look at the cross section. And a line which equally divides this upper and lower wing, this we call it as the camber line. Okay. So this we call it as camber line. Okay. And if I draw an imaginary line, there is no physical line. If I draw a straight line between point A and point B, this is called as, this is not physical line, this is an imaginary line, which we imagine that if we draw a straight line between point A and point B, so this is called chord line. What is this called? It's called as chord line. Now, if you extend this chord line, if I extend this chord line and the direction of the air which is flowing like this, it forms an angle. Let's call it as theta. So this angle is called as angle of attack. The angle which is formed with the relative airflow. So this is this air which is coming in the opposite direction. We call it as relative airflow. So some cadet has given the answer relative airflow. That is correct. But the angle formed between relative airflow and the chord line. So that should be the correct answer. Okay. The angle formed between the relative airflow and the chord line, we call it as angle of attack. And for any aircraft, this angle of attack cannot be more than 15 to 20 degrees. 15 is the minimum. If it goes beyond 15 degrees, what will happen is that the air which is flowing, the air which is coming like this and going above, it will get splitted. The air gets splitted and it gets joined at the trailing section. If this angle of attack is increased too much, what will happen is, for example, let me write this. So if aerofoil, sorry, right. Okay. Now air is coming like this, and you have increased. Now this is A, this is B, this is the trailing edge. Now what happened? The wing cross section. If you draw a straight line, now what happened? The angle is formed. Now, if you look at this, the angle theta is increased. When the angle theta is increased, this is definitely more than 15 degrees. When it is more than 15 degrees, what happens? The air which is supposed to come like this, air comes and supposed to meet, but it does not meet. Okay, so it goes like this, and here the turbulence is created like this. And if the air does not meet, it means that there is no smooth play of air above the surface of this wing, and then it loses the lift. The aircraft will lose the lift, and there is no connectivity, and the aircraft will fall like a stone. This is, we call it as stall. How many of you played the flight simulator game? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Identify yourself.
Cadet
Akhilesh.
Manish, sir.
Go one by one. First cadet,
Cadet Manish, sir.
Cadet Manish, and who is the next
Cadet
one?
Akhilesh Herkal, sir.
And
Cadet
who is the
Yasin,
next?
sir. Cadet Yasin.
Okay. So now in your flight simulator, what you do, you reduce the throttle, you keep the flight speed at say 300 knots or maybe 150 knots, and you suddenly increase the angle. You suddenly increase the angle to upward. So what will happen? You will enter into stalling condition. So what happens in the stalling condition? This is what happens. The air is supposed to meet at the trailing edge, but it does not meet, and the turbulence is created above the wing, and this will create a problem and call it as stalling. So there is one more point. So here we talked about AOA, correct? Angle of attack. There is something called stalling angle. For every aircraft, there is certain stalling angle is defined. Okay. So beyond which, if it goes, then aircraft will enter into stalling condition. So for fighter aircraft, the stalling angle is much more than a civilian aircraft or a normal ordinary aircraft. Okay. Hope you all have understood what is mean by stalling and what is angle of attack. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us come back to the topic which we are discussing. What we are discussing, I just deviated from the topic. So we are talking about the elevator. So elevators, basically what it will do, it will make it pitch up or pitch down. How much it can move pitch up It again depends. You should not make, a pilot should not make a sudden pitch up. Then if you make it sudden pitch up, what happens? It will enter into stalling condition. The angle of attack should be very smooth. You see that transport aircraft are very huge aircraft. They cannot do much of the maneuvering. They cannot put suddenly the aircraft into, at a very high angle immediately. They have to go gradually. Whereas the fighter aircrafts, they are, very fast and they can change their direction, pitch up or pitch down instantly because they're meant for it. The structure is meant for it. Okay. So how do elevator work? So as I told you, how the elevator works. So elevators move upward, then what happens? Come on, tell me now. Let's have a Viva question here. Let's have a quiz. Now, if elevator moves up, the nose of the aircraft, what happens?
Pitch down, sir.
Huh? I repeat the question. If elevator goes up, the nose of the aircraft will be in which position?
Sir, the nose of the aircraft will be in nose down position, sir.
Any other answers? I can see only 2 cadets are participating in any of the question answers. Why is that so? Cadets, give me your answer so that I can understand how much you have understood. Okay. So if the elevator goes up, so it is basically a pitch up action. That is correct. So when elevator goes down, then it is pitch down action. Okay. Now here is the next question. If the starboard aileron goes up, what happens? If the starboard aileron goes up, what happens?
It will turn towards the left, sir.
Any other answers? Okay. So the correct answer is rolling. You should not say it as turn because it will not turn. It will basically roll. Okay. You see the fighter aircraft, it will be moving forward, but it is, rolling like this, rolling left or roll right. So it will go like this, round and round and round. It will roll. So you should tell it as a roll, not turn. Turn is the wrong one. Anyway, the answer is correct. So we'll continue. Now we talk about this vertical direction, that is the vertical stabilizer. So there is a vertical stabilizer and there is a hinged surface, a movable surface that is connected, which we call it as rudder. And this is controlled not by stick, this is controlled by rudder pedals. So the pedals which are there at the foot of the pilot, so that will move. Now for example, if the right foot is pressed or if the right pedal is pressed, then the rudder will move to right side. And if the left pedal is pressed, then the rudder will move towards left. Now, if the right pedal is pressed, the rudder will move to the right side. What happens to the aircraft? Anybody knows the answer? Have you studied this before? Very good. It's correct. So basically, when the rudder, if it turns towards right side like this, then what happens? The aircraft will turn to the right. So basically, it acts as again, once again, the same aerodynamics applies there. So let me try to write and explain, show you. Okay. So basically this is the aircraft. Now, assume this is a rudder, and this rudder, if it moves, if the rudder moves to the right side, assume this is right side, then what happens? The wind will create, the camber will increase to the right side. Then what happens? It will push the aircraft. The tail section is pushed, and what happens is nose section will turn to the right side. It is like this with respect to the CG. So CG is here. And if the rudder is turned towards port side, what happens? The wind increase the lift of that fin, and then the aircraft will move in this port side direction. Okay? So it's as simple as that. Same thing is explained. So whatever we have studied so far, that is elevators, ailerons, rudder, and throttle. These are called as primary controls. Now let us talk about the secondary controls. The secondary controls are also called as the auxiliary controls, which are the additional surfaces which are connected to these aircraft. So which are those secondary controls? That might be a trim tab, which controls spoilers, air brakes, flaps, leading edge device, that is flaps. Okay. So the purpose of these is to provide the additional support. Means without these secondary controls, also the aircraft can fly, but it provides the better stability for the aircraft. Okay. Now the trim tabs of the small. Now this is your elevator. Now for the elevator is a moving. So once again, for a moving, there is a one more movable surface that is connected, and this surface we call it as a trim tab. Okay, this might be fixed or it might be movable. Basically, it is movable. So this trim tab is fixed at one certain position, which basically controls the stability of the aircraft, because the airflow basically oscillates the aircraft, and to counter this effect, the pilot cannot continuously move the stick forward and backward. So there should be some automatic control. So this trim tab will take care of this oscillation in the air. For example, you are riding a bicycle in a bumpy road. You cannot do anything. Your bicycle will be moving up and down like that. You will be moving like this. In air also, similar effect happens due to air fluctuations. So aircraft will be vibrating. So that vibrations or oscillations can be controlled with the help of trim tabs. And those are the hinge surfaces which are connected at the back side. Okay. Now there are slats which are connected. Let me show the slats in the diagram. Yeah. When you see this wing, this is the main wing. This is the flaps. The movable surface which is connected closer to the fuselage, we call it as flap, and farthest movable at the trailing edge, we call it as ailerons. In most aircraft, big aircraft, these are separate movable parts. In a small aircraft, this is one single part. And in the front side, there is one more movable part, or it might be a fixed part that is present, that is called as slats. Okay. So now these slats will help to provide the additional lift during takeoff or landing. So what happens? So plane wing, the angle of attack gets increased. Means not only during takeoff or landing. For example, you are increasing the angle of attack. Then when you are increasing the angle of attack, lift should also be maintained. You see this graph. The angle of attack at 15 degrees maximum with a normal wing, and you can go a maximum of 25 degrees angle of attack with wing plus flaps. And with wing plus flaps, basically flaps will increase the drag. We don't deploy the flaps when we are flying at normal. The flaps are deployed only during takeoff and landing, that is to provide the additional lift. Slats are there to provide the additional lift when you are doing maneuvering. When you are doing maneuvering and you are increasing the angle of attack in the air, sorry for that, then you need an additional surface, and that is slats. And slats are present at the leading edge of the main beam. So there are different types of slats again. So it might be a fixed slat, it might be a powered slat, or it might be an automatic slat. Okay. There are different types of slats: automatic, fixed, and powered slats. So this is the performance which is shown here with the graph. So CL represents the coefficient of lift. Now this is the diagram. Now what is the function of flaps? As I told you, the flaps are only used during landing and takeoff. Why? Because the aircraft cannot land at the same speed that which it flies. The speed has to be reduced. When speed is reduced, what happens? It means when you are compromising with thrust, there should be an additional factor to keep the lift up. Otherwise, what happens? You will lose out the lift, and then weight and drag will start dominating. Then aircraft will lose its altitude. So to maintain the altitude, when you are reducing the thrust, then there should be an additional lift. So this additional lift is compensated by flaps. So when flaps are deployed, what happens? The camber of the wing increase and it will provide the lift. Yeah. So flaps, basically it will go down and it will come to normal position. There is no up or down. It's only normal or it is down. Now if you see in this aircraft, there is another secondary control. If you see this open here, the hydraulic opening, this is called as air brake. Basically in fighter aircraft, it will not land at a lesser speed because the wing structure is designed in such a way that it cannot provide the lift at the lower speed. They are meant to fly at the high speed. That is why the wings are very thin. And the aerodynamic structure is also, the aerofoil shape of the wings is also different. It might be a symmetrical airship. So when it is a symmetrical airship, then it needs to fly at, at a higher speed. So then it will touch down or approach at the higher speed, and the runway is only limited to 3 to 5 kilometers. So it has to be controlled with the help of different parameters. So one is the brakes, hydraulic brakes, parachute, and along with that a spoiler. So when the spoiler is opened, a hydraulic spoiler like this, it will create a drag, additional drag, and that will slow down the aircraft. In the commercial aircraft, so you can see the slats, we call it as spoilers. Okay? The spoilers will be opened like this after landing. Immediately after landing, what happens? After touchdown, these spoilers get opened. These are called as spoilers. That will increase the drag. So now the concept of swept wing. So basically what happens, the wings, there are certain aircrafts where during takeoff the wing position will be in the normal position, and then when you want to travel at a high speed, maybe at the Mach 1 supersonic speed, then what happens, the wings are swept back so that it can provide a great thrust. Okay. So we'll stop at this point and we will continue in the next class. If you have any queries, you can ask. Next class we will talk about the structure of it, the fuselage and other things. Do you have any queries?
Jen, sir.
Sir, I want to see okay.
Sorry?
Jen, sir. Correct, Manish here.
Yes, Manish, tell me.
Is there a difference between banking and rolling, sir?
See, banking, it happens, banking is different, rolling is different. See, rolling, we used to do it. Okay? Banking means it happens due to the wind effect. How much it is slipped. Okay. Now, for example, I want the aircraft needs to turn right. So what happens? The rolling, the aircraft will roll, and at the same time the elevators also work. Okay. So what happens? The aircraft will move like this. Whereas banking happens, you are moving in the same direction, but it is not straight. It is flipped. Okay. So that is the difference between the banking and rolling. Any other queries?
Sir, can you just show the slide of horizontal stabilizer?
Horizontal stabilizer.
Just, yeah.
Oh. Sorry, Manish. Banking, I told you that it's a different process. So it is defined as the same process. I'll just share the slide. I have interpreted in the wrong way. You can see the screen. So here, banking is the angle between the wings and horizon. Now the aircraft is moving in this direction. Now at what angle it is rolling? So that is defined as the banking. As viewed as the rear of, it can be viewed from the rear of the aeroplane. So an aeroplane with its wings. Okay, I got confused with slip indicator. Sorry. So slip indicator. An airplane with its wing level to 0 degrees of time. Now if you see here, pushing the aircraft stick in a cockpit to the right or left makes the ailerons of one wing goes up and down, as you know that. So this makes the wing tip to the left or right. So this is called as banking. So banking makes the plane turns. So you are right. So rolling and banking both are same.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So coming to next question. What is the next question? Horizontal stabilizer.
Yes, sir.
The horizontal stabilizer is nothing but I'll show you the I'll show you this diagram itself. You can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, this is the entire section, we call it as tail section, and this fixed structure we call it as horizontal stabilizer, and this movable structure we call it as elevator. This shaded area is the gray area. This is called as elevator, and this fixed structure, what is there, which is shown in white and border with black, this is called as horizontal stabilizer. This doesn't move. Okay. Whereas this concept changes in
Okay,
the
sir.
fighter aircraft. This concept changes for a supersonic aircraft because there is no horizontal stabilizer in the supersonic aircraft. Okay, it is a completely elevator itself. Any other question? So this is, we call it as the angle of attack. So the angle which is found between the relative airflow and the odd line. So very nice page it is. You know, so this is how the wind flows above and below. So basically, what happens? The low pressure is created on above and high pressure is created below the wing. And you see the angle of attack is increased and the turbulence increases at the trailing edge. You can visit to this page. This is very nice and gives you Okay. Now if you see here, the maneuvering, so this is turning, or it was flying horizontal, then it become vertical, it became up and down, then it becomes again like this. So this can be done with the help of what? Ailerons. And if you want to make a circle, then how do you make it? This is with the help of elevators. Like this. Rolling, spinning, nice pitch. Okay, if there are no doubts, then we will wind up the session. Thank you.